Welcome to my podcast of the untold story of Maurice Hilleman. I am Cole Britt, and today we will talk about the importance of learning about him. We also have a special guest speaker, Dr. Fauci. Please enjoy. Maurice Hilleman grew up in a rural part of Montana. He was born on a farm, and this gave him the mindset to work hard, respect others, gain industry experience, and gain some knowledge of plants. This gave him the crucial principles that outlined his knowledge to understand science. He credited much of his success to his work with chickens as a boy. Since the 1930s, fertile chicken eggs have often been used to grow viruses for his vaccines. Due to the lack of money, he almost failed to attend college. After his oldest brother talked to him, Hillerman graduated first in his class in 1941 from Montana State University with family help and scholarships. He won a fellowship of the University of Chicago and received his doctorate degree in microbiology in 1944. He was fiercely loyal to the people that worked well with him, and he worked more like a dictator. Maurice Hilleman then joined E.R. Squibb & Sons, which gave him the tools to develop a vaccine for Japanese bee encephalitis, a disease that threatened American troops in the Pacific Ocean of World War II. This vaccine was a huge advancement in science, so Maurice was quickly put on the map and had access to even more resources. In 1957, Hillerman became the head of Merck & Company's new virus and cell biology research department in West Point, Pennsylvania. While he was with Merck & Company, Hillerman was able to develop almost 40 experimental and licensed animal and human vaccines. He was credited for his scientific leadership as well as working the laboratory bench. Hillerman was the first to recognize that a 1957 outbreak of influenza in Hong Kong could become a huge pandemic. Working on his hunch, and after 9 14-hour days, he and his colleagues found that there is a new strain of flu that could kill millions. 40 million doses of the vaccine were prepared and distributed by Merck & Company. Although 69,000 Americans died, the pandemic could have resulted in many more deaths in the United States. His vaccine is believed to have saved hundreds of thousands of lives. Not many people know who Maurice Hilleman is or the story about him, but learning his story can inspire someone to pursue to be a scientist that changes the world. It is important to learn the story, how one man has saved millions of lives with his work, and his work still saves lives today. In 1963, his daughter Geraldine came down with the mumps. He used DNA material from her and used this as a basis of the mumps vaccine. The Geraldine strain of the mumps vaccine is still used today. Before Hillerman's vaccine, the death rate for mumps was approximately 15 to 24%. His vaccinations led to over a 99% reduction in mumps cases. Maurice Hilleman completely changes the medical industry from his efforts on developing vaccines with Merck & Company. Hillerman was also the first person to combine viral vaccines when he created the MMR vaccine. With one shot, children could be protected against 3 diseases: measles, mumps, and rubella. Hillerman retired from Merck in 1984 at the age of 65, as this was the retirement age mandated by company rules. Even after his retirement, he continued to contribute to science as a consultant and mentor to those still working to stop infectious diseases from harming or killing people around the world. For example, Dr. Hilleman served as an advisor to the World Health Organization, and in 1988, President Ronald Reagan awarded him the National Medal of Science, the highest science award given in the United States. Here are some words from Dr. Fauci, which how Hillerman has been a huge inspiration to him. Hello, Dr. Fauci. Can you please tell us a little bit about the impact Maurice Hilleman has had on our society, like the increase of human life expectancy?
People live into their 80s now because the health of the human race has improved extraordinarily over a period of decades. One of the most important contributions to the health of the world is the prevention of infections that can either disable or kill you. Maurice Hilleman is responsible for the development of vaccines that not only are childhood vaccines that protect you from dying at a very early age, which happened prior to the ability to prevent these life-threatening infections, but he also helped develop and was primarily responsible for the development of vaccines like hepatitis B, which right now not only is an important vaccine against infection, but it is really the first cancer vaccine, namely vaccine against an infection that's highly associated with an important cancer. So when you talk about health and how people get to finally reach 80 years old, many of the people who are 80 years old now would have never made it past childhood had not the vaccines been developed that Maurice played the major role in developing.
According to Adel Mohammed, leader of Merck's company vaccine division, they still produce 7 vaccines invented by Maurice Hilleman. Maurice Hilleman would be a great historical figure to learn about in our class because not many people know that he was responsible for developing more than 40 vaccines, as well as setting the template to develop vaccines for the future. He accomplished more and saved more lives than any scientist in history, yet his name isn't mentioned in all elementary classes or history books. Robert Gallo, the co-discoverer of the virus that caused AIDS, once said, "If I had to name a person who has done more to benefit human health with less recognition than anyone else, it would be Maurice Hilleman. Maurice should be recognized as the most successful vaccinologist in history." Hilleman has inspired thousands of vaccinologists to pursue the fight of deadly viruses and disease. His work still inspires people to pursue a career to save lives. Going beyond this class, Maurice Hilleman should be taught, at least briefly, of his accomplishments in grades below college. A child hearing how one man was capable of saving millions of lives with science can influence a bright mind to change the world. This can impact our future and how we respond to what life brings us. Vaccines are one of the greatest public health success stories in history. Without them, the world would have lost more people than the entire country the size of the US. Dr. Maurice Hilleman will forever be known as the father of modern vaccines. Thank you for listening to my podcast on the untold story of Maurice Hilleman.